Joining us now is Sally Pipes. Ms. Pipes is the president and CEO of the Pacific Research Institute, a San Francisco-based think tank. She is a noted spokesman on healthcare and women's issues. Ms. Pipes has been published by numerous periodicals, including Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, USA Today, the New York Times, and the LA Times. And she has been named one of the top 10 conservative women in the United States by Human Events. Ms. Pipes, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, now Charles Kessler, Professor Kessler is your husband, is that correct?
It is, yes, he is.
I've met him a couple of times, and yesterday I was on a phone with a colleague of his, a very dear friend of mine, Mike Uhlman. Do you know Dr. Uhlman at all?
Oh, of course, yeah, very well, yes.
Mike's
a good friend. They're all terrific.
Yeah, well, Mike and I go back. I first met him when he was general counsel to what Bill Buckley used to call the sainted junior senator from New York, James L. Buckley. And,
oh, my gosh.
Yeah, Mike serves on the board of my company today, but he's one of the great men I've known in my lifetime. But anyway, welcome to the show. It seems that every day there is another piece of the Obamacare that's being questioned or delayed. This week we've seen some of the major unions come out complaining that they want to repair the act, not that they become great humanitarians for the sake of all Americans or for the common good, but they're seeing problems that are upsetting their memberships as well. But every week there seems to be something else. You know, what is your reaction to this, and what is the end game here? What's going to happen in the next couple of months when this starts to be implemented?
Right. Well, on October 1st, of course, that's the day when the exchanges are supposed to open for enrollment. And I think the president knows he's got a real problem. The feds are going to be operating 27 exchanges, and they're doing 7 partnership exchanges. And I just don't see, how the exchanges are going to be ready. We've already seen the employer mandate delay. We saw the House vote to delay the individual and the employer mandate. We saw them say that they won't have income verification for those eligible for subsidies for a year. So many things. And then they finally brought out the regs on who is eligible for the individual mandate. But they also came out and said that the insurance companies aren't going to know on September 5th, what is an eligible plan. They're delaying that till the 15th. So I think the exchanges probably won't open. Covered California, I'm from California, they've already announced that they don't know that they'll be ready, and they were the first state to take money from the feds to get Covered California going. So remember when Max Baucus said a few months ago he saw a train wreck coming down the track with the exchanges, and I think that train wreck is coming down the track. And so I think, we're going to see a lot of delays, and I think I hope that the American people are going to come to the realization that Obamacare is not going to bring about affordable, quality care for all Americans, and we'll see some good election results in 2014 and 2016, because as you know, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid just a couple of weeks ago in a PBS interview said that he would like to see the abandonment of the insurance industry as a means of accessing health care. And really what he wants is single-payer Medicare for all, the Canadian system, which I grew up under. And I think that's their long-term goal. But we do not want that to happen, because if we do get Obamacare really doesn't get repealed and replaced, we're on the road to serfdom, as Hayek would say, and there will be no off-ramp.
Well, let me just give one anecdote, so to speak, and it affects my company. I run a small company. It's under 50 employees. For 15 years, we have given to our employees Cadillac healthcare insurance, of which the company pays 100% of the premiums. It is not cheap, to put it mildly.
No, not.
And we've sat down with our insurance consultants who are telling me that next year, we go on a cycle, I think our cycle begins next February, to expect the premiums for the Cadillac healthcare for our employees to go up 50 to 100%. Now, that's a tough nut. If that's the case, I have to go back to the drawing board and sort of probably look for a plan B here. But my question to you is, we were told that if you like your doctor, you could keep your doctor. If you like your insurance, you can keep your insurance. It appears that if healthcare, Cadillac goes up 50 to 100%, a lot of people are going to have to drop it. So again, what is the end game here? Why is this happening? Do you think the insurance companies are pushing it up this high at this point in time? And secondly, is the end game objective here is to make sure that everybody has crummy coverage when this is all said and done?
Well, I think the president said over and over again, your health insurance plan and you like your doctor, nothing change. Well, I think the American people are already beginning to see things are changing, and that's why you're seeing the poll numbers for Obamacare, getting worse. I mean, 47% of people surveyed in a Wall Street Journal NBC News poll last week, 47% said they thought it was a bad law. But we're seeing, even though the employer mandate has been delayed a year, you just saw that UPS, United Parcel Service, is not going to be providing coverage for their 15,000 spouses. Delta Airlines said their premium, is going to cost, that Obamacare is going to be resulting in a $100 million increase in health care costs. You're seeing the University of Virginia. You're seeing a lot of going on, and it's not the fault of the insurance companies. It's the fault of Obamacare, because Obama, under the law, they have an essential benefit plan, and so the more mandates that you add on to an insurer, the more the cost is going to go up. And then when you have free preventive care, children being able to stay on their parents' plans till age 26, no lifetime caps, all of these things, are going to add to the cost of health care. And for an insurance company to stay in business, they have to cover their costs, and they're going to be limited by this medical loss ratio, what they can, what they have to pay out in claims and what they can collect in premiums and covering their administrative costs. So, when McKinsey said they thought that about a third of Americans are going to lose their employer-based coverage, Doug Holtz-Eakin, former head of the CBO, said, about 35 million of 160 million people who have employer-based coverage. We are going to see a lot of that. We're going to see firms say, that used to pay full premium, they're going to say you're going to have to pay part of the premium, you're going to have to pay a copay. This is all going to be a real eye-opener. For many Americans, and they're going to say, Mr. President, what you promised. But it is what it's going to be.
Well, here's another interesting question, if I may ask. A lot of companies that, of course, just take a single person, may cost $3,000, $5,000, $8,000, depending on the quota coverage that you have. Are we going to see a lot of companies just dumping employees and saying, you're on your own, we're going to pay the $2,000 tax? Because the tax relative to what you're paying is cheap, so you may be ahead of a company may be ahead of the game by dumping everybody into the exchanges. Do you think we're going to see a lot of that?
Oh, I think we're definitely going to see a lot of that.
And was that part of the plan? Did they expect this to happen when they created Obamacare?
No, they did not at all. And one of the big problems is that for those people who individuals who get dumped into the exchanges, a lot of young people are going to say, hey, I don't want to pay $200 to $300 a month for health insurance. I would rather pay that individual mandate penalty of $95 starting next year, 1% of income. Then what's going to happen is that the people who are older and sicker, people like us who, are in the exchange, there is not going to be this large pool of young people to cover those of us who are older and sicker. And it's going to be a real pressure point for insurance companies. And that's why Secretary Sebelius, Secretary of Health and Human Services, and the President, they've been trying to get the National Football League, the National Basketball Association, movie stars to start promoting the exchanges to young people, because they know they've got a real problem. And then, of course, just this week, the President has, got former President Bill Clinton on the stump. They know they've got a real problem, and the American people are waking up to the fact that they're not going to have the kind of affordable, accessible, quality care that they were promised under this law that was signed, on March 23rd, 2010.
So, in your judgment, despite Bill Clinton, despite giving out prizes and awards and everything else, the odds are most 18 to 25-year-olds, many of whom are out of college and don't have jobs at this point in time, they're not going to be running to sign this up. And correct me if I'm wrong, that's a key component here, that they expect young kids in droves to sign up to help subsidize the rest of the system. That was part of the dream here. In your judgment, is that going to fall flat in the coming months?
Oh, that's definitely going to fall flat. I believe, and I think, young people, are smart. They see what they're, I call these people young invincibles, the 18 to 31-year-olds. For the most part, they don't get sick. They don't need health care. And so for them, they would rather, have a high deductible plan combined with a health savings account so they can be covered for catastrophes. But under Obamacare, I think you're going to see a lot of these people will not sign up, and we're going to see, the insurance companies having a tough time. We're already seeing that a lot of, in California, United Health Aetna, and Cigna, three of the really large players, not Anthem Blue Cross or Blue Shield, but those three big people didn't even compete to go into covered California. And now Aetna and United have said they're not even going to be underwriting individual plans for regular people in California. So, this is really, going to be a real devastating for President Obama and how many insurance companies are going to be in the exchange. These are not going to be marketplaces, as they like to talk about them. These exchanges are going to be, I think, a catastrophe. And, this is sort of I think Obamacare is, as Max Baucus said, going to be a train wreck.
Do you think with this kicking in October 1st with the exchanges, do you think in 6 to 8 months the American people will get a sense that this thing is floundering, or will they be able to dance their way through, say, the next election? How's it going to unfold?
It's hard to know, but I think my view is that a lot of Americans are going to be really upset, and it's going to augur well, I hope, for the Republicans in the 2014 Senate and House elections. The one problem is that these subsidies for people who purchase insurance and in the exchanges who earn between 138 and 400% of the federal poverty level, that's about $94,000 for a family of four. Once people start getting these subsidies from the government, even if they don't really like the health care, if they haven't had to use it, it's very difficult to take things away from people. We're turning into an entitlement society, and we have to, change that mentality and move to an entrepreneurial society.
If you're a family of four making $94,000, you're entitled to subsidies. What is that? Do you have any idea what that subsidy is worth on a monthly or annual basis?
Well, it's going to be, around about $5,000. So it's going to be, significant. And then we saw, of course, people that work for members of Congress, they were all upset that because they had this huge subsidy from the government to purchase their insurance in the Federal Employees Health Benefit Plan. Now we as taxpayers are going to be paying, these subsidies to help, these people who are, work for members of Congress. So all of us who are working are going to be paying a lot more.
It's crazy, particularly the congressional one. Their excuse being, well, right, they may leave government and there'll be a brain drain.
That might be a good thing.
I agree it's a good thing. I ran a huge government agency, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and I heard about the brain drain we were going to have, and I eliminated 1,800 management jobs. Trust me, no one was missed, and I would suspect that'll be the same with the Congress as well.
Right, exactly.
But anyway, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been terrific, and hopefully you will be able to join us again to give a report once we see how this is in action. Ms. Pipes, thanks so much. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thanks.
All right.